Hi, my name is Innes,
And my name is Miku.
and today we'll be covering a project called A Link to the Past, which takes a look at memory in relation to old and new traditions.
Memory can be a very mysterious thing. Traditions are a great way to preserve the memory. And in today's topic, we're going to be discussing traditions, old traditions, new traditions that were banned and even brought back.
There are also some traditions that are a little bit weirder than others, like the first one we'll be taking a look at, cheese rolling, which comes from the UK. The Cooper's Hill Cheese Rolling and Wake is an annual event held on the spring bank holiday at Cooper's Hill near Gloucestershire in England. The first approximate year that cheese rolling took place was as early as 1826, and since then takes place every spring bank holiday. The event begins when 3 to 4 kilograms of double Gloucestershire cheese is rolled down a 200-yard hill. 1 second after, the participants run after the cheese, and the first person to cross the finish line wins the cheese. They can also try to catch the cheese as it's rolling down, however, it can achieve a speed of up to 70 miles per hour. So Miko, will you be doing any cheese rolling anytime soon?
Nah, man, I don't see myself as much of a runner, I don't like I like chasing the cheddar, but not the cheese. Anyway, guys, next up we'll be talking about a more controversial tradition in the past, Shmigos Dingus. Shmigos Dingus, translated as Wet Monday, is a tradition which has dated back to about the 14th century, but is assumed to have been around longer due to the uncertainty of the origins of the tradition. It is a Catholic tradition typically carried out on Easter Monday in Poland, but has been observed to have been carried out in other parts of Central Europe like Ukraine, Czech Republic, and Slovakia. It has even become as widespread as reaching some areas in the United States, though some American elements have fused with the Polish tradition. In its most traditional and simplest form, Shmigos Dingus is the act in which boys will soak girls with buckets of water, then spank them with an Easter whip, though can expect to be soaked back later as revenge as part of the tradition. The idea behind the tradition originally is that it was meant to retain a girl's beauty throughout the rest of the year by carrying it out, though in our modern age it is typically only carried out between family and isn't taken as seriously as it would have been, say, a couple hundred years ago. Well, Ines, would you soak someone with a bucket of water?
I don't know, I mean, it's not as weird a tradition as cheese rolling, I think, but it's definitely up there in the traditions that I don't know if I would partake in, but it's not as weird as our next tradition on the list, which involves children beating up a log with sticks. This is TEOD Denial. TEOD Denial is another tradition that has its roots shrouded in mystery, though it's speculated that it popped up sometime during the Pyrenees Middle Age. Beyond that, not much else is known. The tradition is a Christmas tradition, though quite a bizarre one, in which children will have a small section of log with a face painted on it named Teo. On the lead up to Christmas Day, the children need to take care of the log, feeding it, giving it water, and wrapping it in a small blanket to keep it warm. Then, on Christmas Day, the log is beaten with sticks until it defecates presents, typically toys or sweets that are small in size. Some parts of the tradition have already been left behind, such as, before beating the log, kids need to go into a separate room and pray for good presents, or the fact that Teo wasn't always beaten with sticks, but instead threw into a fire. This was abandoned, however, as many modern households don't have a proper fireplace anymore. So Miko, will you be introducing a little Teo to your family anytime soon?
Yes, you know what? I'd love a pet log, more than a pet rock. But now, moving on to the next tradition of La Tomatina, where we'll go to the tomato town. La Tomatina is a tradition that has emerged relatively recently in comparison to the others, emerging in the summer of 1945 and celebrated in the town of Pinol in Spain as sort of a festival. The origin of La Tomatina was actually completely accidental during another religious parade going on at the time called Gigantes y Cabezudos, which translates to Giant and Big-Headed Parade. Some younger boys caused a scene during the festivities, which ultimately caused a crowd of people to start hurling tomatoes from a nearby vegetable stand at each other. The following year, some people came to the parade with tomatoes already prepared because of the events of the previous year, and thus a tradition was born. La Tomatina was actually briefly banned during the early 1950s due to a Spanish dictator at the time, Francisco Franco, as it was deemed to have no religious significance. though it was unbanned again in 1957 after people protested its ban. Well, Ines, what do you think? Would you participate in La Tomatina?
Out of all the ones we've looked at, I probably would. I mean, it's not as weird as chasing some rolling cheese down a hill or beating an inanimate log with a stick, so I probably would, yeah.
Well, I'm never going to Spain with you. I don't know, I wouldn't be covered in rotten vegetables and fruit.
So out of all these traditions, is there any that you think have like a value in the modern world?
Well, there is different aspects that you can look at. A tradition is a memory that lives on in a way, and people tie their own values to the tradition, like the Polish one, the Shmigos Dingus. People pour water on women to preserve their beauty. So, it's like a myth, it's like a legend, but if it makes people happy, then, as long as it doesn't harm anyone, then yeah, I think they do have some value if they make people happy. And what do you think?
I think for me, out of all of them, probably TEOD Denial, because as much as beating up a log is a bit weird, right? It does, the bit before it where the kids have to, take care of it and feed it and that, does give some good values, I don't know. I mean, it teaches kids, how to take care of a child or just things in general. So probably that one out of them all. Although I don't know what value you get out of throwing tomatoes at people or chasing some cheese down a hill, but each to their own.
Yeah, I agree with you. But, these are the traditions of the past. But what will the traditions of the future look like, We won't know. Will they preserve? Or will they, like their predecessors, become a memory? Thank you all for listening. My name is Miko, and I was one of the hosts today.
I was Ines. Thank you very much for watching.